What's up, Facebook Live? Welcome as you are tuning in. Let me get this up, make sure we're coming through loud and clear. Hopefully you're having an amazing morning, day, afternoon, evening, wherever it is you are tuning in from. I know we get people from all over the globe who come and check this out. All right, looks like we're up and pop-a-locking. Loud and clear. So welcome as you're tuning in. I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for out there in Facebook world and all over the globe today. Today we're going to be talking about a really interesting concept that comes from Slicing Pie by, who wrote this book? Mike Moyer. It's a great book, super interesting. And it's a really important concept that if you're in a startup version of your business, or if you're in a stage of your business that you're trying to find more team members or find partners or figure out how to grow your business, it's something we mentioned last night. I think it was Cheryl saying she would love to find a partner, but she doesn't know where or doesn't know how to go about doing it. So we're going to share a little bit about that. But as you're tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you out there in Facebook world are grateful for. I do see that number ticking up. Welcome. Marilyn, nice to see you. Welcome back. Always good to have you. Let's see. We will give this just a moment while people are popping up. Stuart, how are you, sir? Welcome. Let's see. As you're tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I would love to know three things you are grateful for today. Feel free to put it right down there in the comment section or over there, possibly over there, depending on what screen you're using to watch. All right, numbers still ticking up. Welcome everyone as you're tuning in. Concetta, hello. Welcome. Actually, let's change it up. Instead of where you're tuning in from and three things you're grateful for, how about this? Where you're tuning in from and three great things that happened today. What do you got? Chelsea, nice to see you. Welcome back. Let's see who else pops in to say hello. I do see that number ticking up, so as you jump in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for. Couple things. We'll talk about performance real quick just to kick this off. Something very fascinating. I was talking with an awesome client today, and what's interesting is when my wife and I first got together, I was wildly impressed and amazed at how much she could fit into a short period of time. So every day, it was really remarkable because she would have volleyball practice, volunteering with Make-A-Wish, a meeting with her, group she was talking to. And then from there, she would go meet with her friends, meet up for happy hour, go do something else, go to her class for her MBA, have a quick meeting after that, meet me for dinner. And then she would go home, cook some stuff, and then from there, somehow go to sleep for a few hours, wake up and do it all again the next day. And I was always so impressed at how she was able to pull it off. And I was talking to her, I'm like, when do you sleep? And it was really fascinating because she told me basically, I don't, not a whole lot. Like I sleep a little bit at night and then I just go. She's like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That was the concept. And so it was really interesting talking to her about this concept because I had a totally different philosophy. And so we shared our philosophies, and I showed her the science and research that shows how important sleep is. And we talked about it, and we came up with a plan. We said, listen, there's two ways to go about this. You can either like go, and then completely hit a wall. And when you hit a wall, literally, you have to take like a whole day or a weekend and just lie there and stare at the ceiling and sleep like crazy and then hopefully regenerate. I said, or you can figure out how to structure your days so that instead of having to go for a sprint and then refuel, and then go for a sprint and refuel, and I don't know if you've ever had this in your business, but I've seen a lot of people do this in their business, where they'll sprint, have huge amounts of revenue, tons of new clients, tons of new business, and then they'll feel comfortable and not generate any business for a while, and all of a sudden, you'll see their numbers just slowly decline, and then they'll get too low and go, and work, and get tons of revenue, tons of business, and then it'll slowly decline because their motivation disappears. Now, I don't know if you've ever done that. If you have, give me a thumbs up or say, guilty. I've certainly done it myself, and lots of people I've worked with have. And what's wild is when you notice that trend where it's like they work really, really hard, generate tons of business, slowly lose their motivation. Work really hard because they ran out of money, and then slowly lose their motivation. Now, you can either go through life constantly like that with your energy, that with your bank, your finances, that with your business. You can do that same thing with your marriage if you really want. You can do it pretty much everywhere in your life. And the tricky part is, does it work? Technically, it'll work. I mean, you'll survive. You'll make it through life doing that. But you'll constantly hit moments where you feel burnt out, overwhelmed, exhausted, frustrated, even to a point where it'll just be like, bleh. And you feel like you don't want to do anything. And you feel like you're just out of fuel, out of juice. Now, if you've ever hit a point like that, something that's really fascinating is there's another way to do it where you never run out of fuel. And what it is if you think about this really simple concept, if you think about a day, so the beginning of the day, end of the day, and there's a chunk in the middle where you're really going to hustle and work, you're really going to push hard. And you got to figure out from the moment you wake up to the moment that push begins, this is your fueling up for the day concept. So this is where, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, you're doing everything you can to fuel your mind, your body, your emotions. You're listening to your favorite music. You're, moving your body in a way that feels good. You're eating the right things. You're looking at the right things. You're filling your mind with great thoughts and stuff like that. You're doing everything you can possibly do to become the happiest, healthiest, strongest, most fulfilled version of yourself, and to become resilient in every way, in every capacity that's possible. And when you get to that place, now you launch into the day with every ounce of energy you have and make the most of it. Now from there, what's really wild is you take that concept and you say, okay, I fueled up, I filled up, I'm conquering the day, I'm kicking some butt. And as you're going through life, you're generally going to slowly run out of fuel. And now for some people in just the beginning, you're going to want to take time maybe at noon, maybe in the afternoon and refuel up. Go lock yourself in a room, listen to your favorite music, do your favorite dance, read your favorite mantra, do that meditation, do some stretching, do something that naturally regenerates you as a human being. But for most of us, if you make it to the end of the day, awesome. Now, the challenge of how most people deal with the end of the day is you get to the end of the day and you come home and go, you don't want to think about anything. You don't want to do anything. The kids are over there. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm exhausted. I don't even know what to do with them. And you turn on the TV and just stare at something for a while. Or you're like my wife and you go do every possible thing you can get your hands on. And instead, if you look at it a little bit differently and say, hey, I'm going to take these chunks, from let's say 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. This is me going after my passions in life, time, my work, my mission, my purpose, stuff like that. But from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. or 8 to 11, in those chunks, this is everything I could possibly do to completely regenerate who I am as a human being. This is me meditating, eating the right foods, drinking the right liquids, fueling my mind, my body, my spirit, my soul, every ounce of who I am, so that literally I regenerate to the best version of me every single day. Now, you never hit a brick wall. You never run out of juice. You never hit a place where you just fry yourself mentally, emotionally, or have burnout. Instead, you're constantly regenerating every day. I always use the example of those hybrid cars or electric cars where when you use the brakes, it's regenerating the energy in the engine. And then when you step on the gas, it uses the energy. So the same thing, when you use the brakes, when you slow down and thoughtfully, mindfully go through life to fuel up and fill up, just like putting the brakes on a little, and then you slam on the gas and go, 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 go. And at the end of the day, you put the brakes on, you slow down and regenerate all of who you are. And if you can practice finding that rhythm, let's see, Chelsea says, yep, there now. It happens. It's part of the process. So if you can practice finding that rhythm, there's real, true magic that can happen where all of a sudden, every day, you fuel up to the best of yourself, use some energy all day, fuel back up, and instead of having a cycle where you go a week or a month and then just drop and need a vacation, you start running a cycle where every day that cycle happens and you fuel all the way up, use some energy, fuel all the way back up, use some energy, and ideally, instead of fueling up and using all the energy and fueling up, ideally you fuel up, use some energy, but then fuel up, use some energy, and every day you get a little bit more energy than the day before because you're properly refueling your mind, body, and spirit. So one thing you might want to do is take some time to figure out what are the things that absolutely fuel you as a human being. The images, the thoughts, the emotions, the music, the visuals, the quotes, the people, the places, the situations. What are all the things that literally when you get around those, it brings out the absolute most alive, passionate, amazing version of who you are. And you want to schedule that stuff consistently into your day somehow. The example I always like to give, if you go to my dad's house, he literally, if you've ever been to like a professional NBA or, a sports team and you see their training office where they have like the ice stuff, the heat stuff, the saunas, everything like that, he has all that in his house because every day he pushes, and then at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, he uses all this amazing equipment to regenerate himself to the best of who he could be. Now, most of us are going to have a little bit of trouble getting access to all that stuff in our home. It'd be nice, but you can slowly put together a plan and say, hey, I can't afford to do this every day, but I can do cryotherapy on Sundays like we do. I could do the sauna at the gym. It's only $20 a month. I could do... and you start piecing together things you can do that you do have access to, and all of a sudden some magic happens. Let's see. Kayla says, I'm a single mom, and this is extremely important to do every day. I have a lot of friends that ask how I do it and stay motivated, and it's so important to put time into yourself. Well said, refueling yourself. Thanks. It's a must. And single moms especially, but entrepreneurs, executives, parents, single people, college students, these are all people who seem to neglect this stuff. I don't know why. We get so busy, we don't have time for it, and inevitably we burn ourselves out and fry ourselves and get to a point where we're completely exhausted and can't even see straight, and then at that point we decide we need to figure this stuff out. So instead, if you start early, you never have to hit that wall. You never have to have that burnout. And so I figure I'd throw that in as a bonus tip for today. The second piece we're talking about comes from this awesome book called Slicing Pie, and he said something that's so valuable in here. He was talking about the concept of, a couple people get together and they decide to start a business, and all of a sudden they start arguing over is how the pie is valued. And he's saying in the book, he's like, inevitably, what generally happens is two good people get together and they say, hey, I've got this idea, let's do it. One person says, sure. And they say, well, let's split it 70-30 because, it's my idea, so I think I get 70. And they're like, well, hey, I'm doing the work, so I think I get 70. And then they start telling each other why they think one person is more important or one person is more valuable, or without the idea, there would be no business. And they go back and forth on this concept, and they kind of beat each other down and eventually piss each other off and then insult each other and walk away. And what's interesting, he said so often there's a way around this that so many people don't realize. And he said a phrase, it was a little quote. He says, so often, what people are really looking for when they get into this type of relationship is, yes, they want money, but more so, they want to feel that their contribution is valuable and valued in the process. And this is really interesting because inevitably I've had a few different relationships in business kind of fall apart because of this concept. And some of them were literally because we grew and we just outpriced that current position we were in, and therefore we had to charge more. And because we had to charge more, it was no longer a fit for the organization we were working with. Now, that's normal. It happens. We were growing business. We started off at a certain price. Within a couple of years, we had elevated. We had grown and had to, priced into a new structure. And we offered it to them at a slight discount, but it just wasn't a fit. That's okay. In this case, it's really talking about the fact that in the beginning, when you're saying, hey, I'm going to go hire my first salesperson, or I'm going to hire someone to help me grow this business, and you're trying to figure out what that person's contribution is worth. And the fear is you say, okay, well, let's be 50-50 partners. And the person comes in and they work real hard, and then the other person slacks off, doesn't do anything, but now they still get 50% of the business. That's crazy talk. And so that's the worry, that's the fear. And so what is really interesting, and the line that caught me though, is so often people think it's about the money that they're arguing over, and really truly, if you just took time to show them that you value and appreciate their investment, and you show them in a way that they clearly see that you value it. So if that's giving them money, if that's telling everyone how amazing they are, if that's getting press about the business, but always talking about how incredible they are, somehow showing them that you radically, totally, massively value their contribution, and you want them to get the absolute biggest piece of the pie that you could possibly give them for that. And then the book goes on to justify how you justify what piece of the pie based on their contribution. So how you can justify it, slice up the pie in different ways. But the concept of where in your life do you have people who are contributing? So if you're a single mom and you've got some grandparents, or you've got, some interesting people helping out, from friends to family to other community members, how do you make sure that they feel really valued for their contribution? If you are married, my wife and I, how do I make sure that my wife feels valued for the contribution she makes? I tell her every single day how grateful I am and how much I appreciate everything she does. From if she makes me, breakfast, if she's working on part of the business, if she's doing her own marketing for stuff, which she has some really cool marketing she's working on right now for our love and relationship retreat coming up in Tulum later this year in Mexico. She also has some amazing new marketing things she's done for our Performance Coach University that's out now. Let's see. Concetta, I feel my student coachees more important than their money. I feel my student coaches more important than their money. I think I understand that. But it's absolutely true. So taking time to say, hey, as much as, someone might value the investment, and sometimes it is a money thing. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is what we need. This is where you're at. It doesn't work. Other times, though, it's just showing them like, hey, you can make a radical, crucial, lasting difference if you can do this for us. And all of a sudden they realize, hey, they really value me here. Hey, they're willing to go above and beyond and do everything they possibly can to take care of us here. And it's like, okay, well, the money doesn't matter that much. We're willing to be a part because of how much obviously you guys value us and how much you go, way out of the way to take care of us when we're part of this. And they can show you in other ways. So the big question here is, if you have people you do business with, how do you show them, not only monetarily, but how do you show them in the intangibles? The way you treat them, the way you take care of them, the way you do stuff for them. How do you show them in the the non-tangible, the non-monetary ways that you really, really, really value what it is that they do with you, for you, on behalf of you, that really lights up their world? And it's just a thought that I think can be so powerful for partnerships, so powerful for business, so powerful for life, so powerful for relationships. If your partner, and this is something I really respect and I honor, and I'm grateful that my wife does, every time I go take out the trash downstairs in the kitchen, it's funny, she'll stop and she'll go, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you do that for us. I'm so grateful. And I just want to say thank you. Not in a condescending way, not in a silly way, not in a spiteful way, just really, truly from the heart. She'll take a deep breath and she'll just feel the gratitude and then open her eyes and tell me, I'm so grateful you take time to do that for us all the time. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Genuinely saying that. And what's interesting, every time she says it, makes me more excited to take out the dang trash. And I don't even like taking out the trash. That concept, though, she makes me feel valued, makes me feel appreciated, makes me feel important for doing a simple little normal thing. And so that concept of, number one, that we talked about in the beginning of this little conversation, which was constantly refueling yourself every single day. Second concept of bringing value. to the people that you work with and for, to really acknowledge, appreciate, and point out and make them feel valuable for what it is they're doing, no matter how big or how small it is on the team. Really, truly make sure they feel incredibly valuable. And something, I get lots of little notes from everyone who tunes into these that says, thank you so much, this was amazing, I loved it, oh my gosh, this was great. And really, truly, for everyone who takes time to tune into these, from my heart to yours, like, I'm just grateful y'all tune in. I'm just a guy who likes to share some stuff, and I really appreciate y'all taking time to tune in and listen into whatever the topic of the day is. I appreciate y'all take time to comment and share in the comment section and chat with me here. And I appreciate that you help me find good ideas to chat about and share with y'all, and hopefully it's of benefit to your world. I really appreciate y'all. But that concept of how do you take that and ripple it into your world, everyone from the person who helps you carry groceries out of the store to the person who checks you out to the person who does anything for you, cleans the house or helps you with something, any little bits and pieces. How do you really make sure you bring that making them feel important in the process? Because again, from this book, Slicing Pie, I'm still working my way through it. The concept of, he said, a lot of times in partnerships that'll break down, it had less to do with the money and it had more to do with the people not making each other feel valued, appreciated, or important in the process. So the things they'll say to each other is, oh, you're totally replaceable, I could totally find someone else to do your job, that's not even important. Without the idea I had, it would never be here. And the person goes, ideas are a dime a dozen, I can go find a million more ideas to work on. And all of a sudden, instead of making each other feel valued, appreciated, and important, you make each other feel non-valued, not appreciated, not important, and then boom, even if all the money's there, the partnership explodes. So just a simple concept. Hopefully that's useful to everybody. Josh, happy Tuesday. Kayla says, I always leave notes from my family and friends when I'm visiting them or my clients just to have a great day or thanks for being amazing. My wife does that. It's so appreciated, Kayla. That's such a beautiful thing to do. My wife leaves, I wish I could turn the camera around. I have little sticky notes all over that my wife leaves me. And every now and then I'll walk into my office and my computer will be covered in sticky notes with all kinds of little love notes from her. And I'll be like, oh, great, I'm late for a call and I got to peel all these things off. She'll put them on my breakfast. Those are very much appreciated, and obviously it's part of my love language, so when she does those little gifts for me like that, it really means a lot. Anyways, hope you all have an amazing night. I'm going to go catch dinner. Short little conversation here. If you found this useful, feel free to click that share button, spread it out to the world, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.